Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of VoiceQube podcast. And we have with us over here Nick Sawka, the founder of Voice Park Live. He is synonymous to Alexa skill previews and reviews, and the number of reviews he has done for various Alexa skills from across the globe are just phenomenal. He also has a tremendous YouTube channel where he gives honest reviews about different voice applications, and it's called Voice Park Live, and you guys have to check that out. And I'm going to drop the link below. But then I'm going to leave the floor to Nick himself, who's going to talk about his journey of entering this voice industry. And he set a goal to achieve 1,000 subscribers by June 2021. But I guess he got there far earlier, probably 5 months, right? So, Nick, over
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah. So we set an internal goal, me, Ben, and AJ, of getting VoiceSpark over 1,000 subscribers. And it turns out, and this was our deadline was June 1st, because that's whenever I'm planning on retiring from the military. And I do voice analysis in the military and for search and rescue cases. So that's sort of how like my background winds into voice. So essentially we set out a goal of 1,000 subscribers by June 1st, and we were able to get there by mid February ish. So we crossed over that thousand person threshold, and currently we're at 1,065, 1,066. But it's amazing how many people don't know about what we're doing, and should at least um, you know be a little bit open to it, because the better we can create a voice experience, the better it allows that voice app to reach the max amount of people. If something sucks, they're going to write a bad review and they're never going to use it again. But if it's a good experience and it hits all those sonic branding and all this and that, and it really accentuates the brand, they're going to do it. They'll come back. You will get a reoccurring customer, and
Yes.
it's our job to show them what skills uh, what skills are, and what skills are good to use.
So, first of all, congratulations on achieving this target of yours pretty early. And I've been following your journey since quite some time. And, I got a cold message on LinkedIn suddenly saying, hey, how about I do a review for your skill and then you drop me a subscribe on YouTube? And I was like, wow, this is like the best deal I can get, right? As a skill developer, because
Yep.
discovery is so broken in this voice industry, and you are contributing to solving that issue, right? And you're making sure that the best skills get out there, get their visibility, and more users can discover content on your YouTube channel and then say, hey, I want to try this skill out, and just probably their Alexa lying over there, they can just say open detective X or open something else, something which you have reviewed. So phenomenal work there. But I just want to have I have a very curious question over here now. After I know that not everyone in the industry already knows about you guys, but a lot of skill developers definitely do. Do you get a lot of messages, requests asking for reviews all the time? And if you get that, how do you deal with such a huge traffic?
So it goes in spurts. So it may get really dry. Like right now, we're at a little bit of a dry spell, but then it'll heat up, and then people will start submitting. And what we've done is we've formulated a form on our website that's connected to a Google Sheet. And what we do is we just, if somebody wants a skill preview, we say, hey, thanks for reaching out to us, but if we can have you go over to our site and hook this up, we'd really appreciate it, because it helps us keep track. And they're more and glad to do that. And once it gets on the list, I go ahead, I prioritize it, and then I do the video, and I'm the one that mainly does the videos. Ben controls a lot of the marketing and finance of the operation, and AJ, um, has a lot of different things that he's working on in the pipe, but he's also sort of like the sonic brander of the whole experience. And so he does a lot with the audio side of the house. He makes us sound good. He makes us look, he helps us look good, but that'd be a full-time job. So I don't want to put that all on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is one thing that we've realized pretty soon because, I mean, when you were building apps, applications like mobile apps or web apps, you just had to look good. But with voice coming in, you have to sound good as well. And
Yep.
suddenly I see myself going to Fiverr and talking to music producers, sound engineers, to,
Yep.
add those extra effects, sound effects, music to it, and have original voice actors saying the dialogues if it's a part of a story instead of the Alexa, the Alexa's voice. So you've reviewed so many skills. How appealing or how different do you think is, let's say, a skill like Detective X from the rest of them? Because it's an adventure from the right go. It has complete voice actors, a very good music production, very awesome sound effects. So as a reviewer who has done like so many skills, uh, did you find did you find the difference extremely high between the normal monotonous skill and the skill with high music production?
Yes. So anything you could do to separate yourself from the pack is going to benefit you, right? So whenever you bring in those voice actors, you start to create that universe. You know, whenever you start to use uh, scripts to actually build the conversational dialogue, the conversational design, all that stuff really plays a key part in creating that universe. And ultimately, what you're trying to do is spark the person's mind into living in that universe, even if it's for 30 seconds or 30 minutes. You want to try to get them there. And I can honestly say that, and I hate to say this and I won't tell you which ones, but there have only been maybe less than 20 skills that have really done that for me, really hammered that home. Clint's was one of them. There was a guy by the name um, Christian. He's from, well, there's two Christians actually. One's from Germany, one's from the Netherlands. They did a skill called Journey 3000 and also Iron Falcon, and those skills are phenomenal. So they're out there. Our goal is just to direct you to them because Amazon's going to tell you, hey, if you want to set a timer, yell at it and tell it to set a timer for 20 minutes. We're going to tell you, hey, if you want to spend 35 minutes wisely, we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to give you the most bang for your buck. We're going to show you what skills you need to be using and what skills are. There's such this. I designed a skill for my local city, and it's called Hello New Haven. Anybody could try it out, but it essentially it's like a diction. It's like an encyclopedia for the city and a business dictionary. So you say, I want pizza. It yells out the small town pizzeria that we have in our city. But the thing is that I had to walk one of the ladies through that was on the committee to approve this to get built. I had to walk her through to get to the skill store. So she didn't even realize that it could do that. She knew that it could make fart sounds and all this other stuff, but she didn't realize that, these independent apps added to her ability. And that's where we come in. That's where Voice Spark comes in. We want to be the Nintendo Power or the Electronic Gaming Monthly of voice applications.
That's so cool. And my question right now is, what you touched upon is actually the number one problem in the entire voice industry. Like, I've been building skills since 2017, and there are 250 million devices sold with 112 million monthly active users, but
Mhm.
less than 50% know that there's this entire universe called Alexa skills.
Yep. Because those, because some of those people are, it is somebody's grandmother or somebody's uncle or something, and they're not really into tech, and they know that they could just say things to this device and it'll do it, like, play, Helter Skelter by the Beatles or whatever. But uh, what we try to do and what we need to do is just educate people. I think one of the biggest downfalls in this whole thing, and I think would increase usage, is whenever you take a look at the Amazon mobile app, you see the 5 buttons at the bottom of the screen. Now, one of those should be the skills and games,
Yeah, I agree
but
100%.
it's not. You got to click more, and then you click more, and you go to the next thing, and then you see skills and games. If you want to do increased usage, somebody's going to say skills and games. What is this? And they're going to click it. They're going to be like, this is weird, and then it's going to be that connection, and people are going to start using it more. And I hope that if somebody is listening from Amazon, they take that and they understand, okay, well, maybe we could fit 6 buttons down there, or maybe we can move something to the backside. But as it is now, um, I think that the discoverability needs to rely on the developer, and the developer needs to say, I'm going to own this, and this is my best skill, and I love this. It's my baby, and I'm going to market the hell out of it, and I'm going to post every day to my socials, and I'm going to get people fired up about it. And if I have to invent my own hashtag, and if I have to build a quick link for it, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to own this thing. And and that's the sad truth at this point. It has to be something that is more market driven to get the word out.
And I can't agree with you more on this, right? Because the Alexa app has been like this since so long. And it's the same with, let's say, the Google Actions Explore button, right? I mean, it
Oh
claims
yeah.
1 million actions, but how do I scroll through them? And how do I know which one do I pick? Which one is worthy enough for my time? Same thing with
Oh,
Alexa, 200,000 Alexa skills. But how do I find the 20 that you mentioned, which are
yeah.
really good, which are like a class apart? As a consumer, I need that curation, right? And uh, that's one of the things that we are trying to solve at StoryCube, right? So what we are doing is we are creating a Netflix style catalog, and uh, only those 20 or only those 30 or 40 skills which are really a class apart, which have certain standards, like really good sound production, really good voice design. It shouldn't be monotonous where the only response I'm giving is yes or no. It should not be like an IVR system. And then we are trying to curate all these interactive stories and games. That's the niche we picked up into one catalog, and we're giving it away in a mobile app. So what happens is you don't need to go to your Alexa skill store to find content. You just fire up your StoryCube app, go through the content, play a trailer over there, and then it shows how the skill is going to sound. And with one button on it, you will enable it on your Alexa device, and then you can just consume it on your device. Now, this is where I wanted to kind of pitch on this meeting a feature where we can have, as a part of the reviews section, we can have the voice part video live over there so that they can look at that right from the mobile app itself, because we embedding a YouTube video is not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Do that, and then you'll be like the official reviews for each skill on the app, and then that'll aid for the discovery. That'll aid that, okay, hey, this sounds pretty cool, I want to enable this. Hey, this sounds pretty cool, I want to kind of play this game or play this skill, right? And then it completes the end-to-end discoverability part of it, as well as the curation, so that as a consumer I need not go to more skills and games, wait for 10 seconds for it to load, and then I'm lost in an e-commerce store.
Yep.
And
Yep.
in fact, I've talked to Amazon about this, right? And then they have taken the feedback and they said they're working on it to make it run more faster. But they can't kick out skills from their skill store. The skill store will still be filled with hobbyists and
Yep.
students just trying out basic skills. And these gems like Iron Falcon and Journey 3000, these get lost in such a huge clutter of 200,000 skills. And we know that this number 200,000 is just going to grow up. So
So, and you brought up a good point there. One of the things, and I know you have developed skills, you said since 2017, right? So I've been sort of in that same world as well. Like I've started developing skills since 2017. I actually have one of the first black echoes, the big ones. I've got one of the beta editions, and once the SDK opened up, I just started, building like fact-based skills and really getting into it. So the point that I was trying to make is that we have one problem as a developer, a unified problem, and it's the fact that if I mess up on a skill for a client, they get the email for that saying that here's the problems with the skills during certification, right? My big thing is, how hard would it be to actually add a field that will allow you to redirect that or carbon copy somebody else to get that feedback? Because if you check in the developer console, it says, please, oh, your skill filled certification, please refer to the email that we sent you. Well, I don't get an email because I'm the contractor. Bob's Burgers, who contract me to build the skill, they're going to get it and they're just going to realize that this guy's a screw up. So, like why wouldn't Amazon like pre-bake something in there? And I'll tell you what, this is one area where Google actually does it a little bit better, because I've developed some actions, but honestly, I really see no point in it. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. They put the feedback in the console. So if there is an error, not only do you get an email telling you where you went wrong, what reference to go check out to fix it, and all this other BS, but inside the developer console, you get that as well. So you're getting it hit at two places. And that's one thing that Amazon needs to do. And I was on a couple survey calls too with Amazon, and they're like, dude, this is a great idea. And I'm still waiting for that to be implemented. And like, how hard would it be to just be like, do you want to redirect this feedback to this email? It would sort of be like whenever you're enabling the beta test, you know how you have like an administrator for the beta test?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just do something like that there? That is the bane of my existence as far as developing goes. So
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, I faced this issue a lot of times myself when, with VoiceQube, we had so many clients, and whenever something like, okay, the skill certification has failed because of so and so reasons, right? And they give 5 reasons, and they repeat the reasons for each location, each geography. So it's like a huge email, and then they're like overwhelmed. My client is sending me messages saying, hey, I think something went really, really wrong. But the only thing that email says is, hey, okay, the audio format is not in the right form, or the help intent is
yep.
missed, or something like that. It's so simple, but then it is overwhelming for the client. And you're right, this should probably go to the developer when they add developers to the in the user profiles, or in the beta testers, when you're creating an admin for the beta tester, probably should go there. You know what? We'll just tag a couple of Amazon folks when we post this video on LinkedIn and other places. Let's see what they think about it.
Hey, I'm down for it. I'd love to see that. Um,
but you
we
said you didn't want to develop more Google Actions, right? So
Yeah. So you know, I'm I'm a like a task oriented person, goal oriented person, and maybe that's the military guy in me, but at the end of the day, like I have to see like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And for me, if I develop for Amazon Alexa, I can have ISP, I could get developer rewards, I could get all this other extra stuff, right? I could get swag, like if they're giving stuff out. But whenever you look at Google, like they do the exact opposite, which is like, hey, just create it. And it's like, nah, that's not really worth my time, especially whenever the action store is in such bad shape as it is. Where if I know this is gonna sound funny, but if you held a gun to my face and was like, find the action store, I couldn't do it. Like I'd be like, oh. But with Amazon Alexa, it's just so much more easier. And I feel as if their developer console, because again, I was on some survey calls for Google as well. They're coming along, but they don't get it. Like they're geared more towards this like intermediate expert developer, whereas Amazon is like, I don't care if you're a auto shop teacher, come on over, let's build something. And that is the difference in attitude. Like we had a guy on that was from Alabama, and he built a quiz for his kids to help them pass their automotive shop certification test. Now think about that. I mean, that's crazy. A guy that really had no other computer programming experience said, I'm going to do this. And I reviewed it. It's going to be coming out in a few weeks, but it's awesome. I mean, I got to tell you the truth. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I've got most of the questions wrong, but the functionality's there, and it allows kids to brush up. Maybe they're in their car, and or maybe they're brushing their teeth, and they can get that little extra boost of knowledge that may push them over the top the next time they take the exam.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of these ecosystems, what do you think about Bixby? Because Bixby has got uh, it has got its distribution set. Samsung mobile phones, almost every other guy has it, and then they
Mhm.
have they have to, the user has to choose between, let's say, a Google Assistant because they're on an Android, or let's say Bixby. But then I've seen Bixby try to do something similar to Amazon, try to create some premium developer programs, and try to create an ecosystem. But then it kind of quickly faded out, at least in India. But when I was there in New Jersey in 2019 for the Voice Summit, I've seen them create a huge booth and try to create more awareness about their developer ecosystem. But have you tried your hands on Bixby and or anyone
I've got to be honest with you, I haven't. And um, I reached out one time to somebody, and I tried to get started, and I lost interest. And that's not to say that Bixby isn't doing something good. It's just to say that it initially wasn't for me. Would I review a Bixby capsule? Of course, if I could find some way to test the Bixby capsule, I would do that. I would provide that sort of feedback for the developer or for the company, because of the fact I see value in getting good um, constructive feedback. And I'm not the end all be all. It was something I like, something somebody else might not like, but there's a baseline level of functionality. And as far as Bixby goes, I haven't had anybody ask me. I would be up for the challenge. The only thing they'd have to do is point me in the direction, and I mean, I'd figure it out and I'd go through it for them. But you're right. But whenever you think about Bixby, though, I mean, it's more of a mobile system. So what I think what Samsung has to do, because I was watching a video with Roger Kirby, who is the like their main guy over
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and he was like connecting stuff to a fridge, and I'm like, holy shit, like this blowing my mind, like whoa, this is blowing my mind. And I sat there, I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, man, that would be kind of cool to develop for. And I think that what Samsung needs to do is they need to come out with some sort of hybrid between a Google Nest Hub and a an Echo 5, and charge $80 for it. 50 to $80 for it, and just say, here it is. This is Samsung. This is Bixby. And I think they would get more people that way. But I don't know if that's their end goal. It might be more commercial driven, you know?
Sure. And just to remind everyone that Alexa, Google, Bixby, but then a giant is about to enter this industry, and that's Apple. They have
Yeah.
hired tens of thousands of developers in Austin. They created a huge team for Siri, and then for the HomePod team. And if Apple is going to come up with any product in the voice assistant space, especially one with a screen, it's going to be phenomenal. They have very huge um, um, benchmarks for themselves, and they always try to do something unique. So I'm actually looking forward to see what they are going to come up with in this entire race for getting a smart speaker in your bedroom, right?
Yeah.
But then it also brings me back to one question, which I often get from a lot of clients that I work with. Um, so let's say I'm Disney, or let's say I'm Warner Brothers, and I've developed my story on Alexa, I've developed it on Google, I've developed it on Bixby, and then in the future, even on Apple HomePod, which is Siri. Now, doesn't it become too tedious for me to promote my content separately for Alexa in the Alexa skill store, separately on Google, separately on Bixby, separately on Siri, and then in the future, let's say there's one more coming up, uh, it just adds another layer to my marketing or my promotional stuff.
Yep.
Uh, and and then once I do the promotion, it's gone. So let's say I create an ad for Bixby and then I put it out there. People who've seen the ad would probably come to me, but then after that, the ad is lost in the entire internet feed, and I have to create another ad for all my portfolio skills or all my portfolio voice applications again. So did you experience similar complaints from, let's say, brands or clients that you work with, or the ones that you've reviewed for?
No, not really, because I think Amazon had gotten such of a head start that they are the premier voice experience to date.
Hmm. Hi, Nick, your voice is not audible.
Oh, I got you back.
Yeah,
Are you
cool.
there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, so I always believe in the rule of three, and my marketing rule of three is this: you're going to have somebody on top, you're going to have somebody on the bottom, and you're going to have an alternative. So whenever you think about that, you think, okay, Amazon's on top, Google's on bottom, Bixby's the alternative. And whenever you start to look at different industries, like this kind of this my theory, it's probably not a theory, it's probably written somewhere in some uh university marketing book, but whenever you look at the cell phone industry in America, when you look at cable news or streaming services in America, it's the same thing. There's always that top three. So I see this whittling itself out. I don't necessarily see Apple designing something that will act at, I think it's going to be a better form of Siri. It may include some form of third party uh, voice applications, but I don't see Apple exposing their ecosystem or creating an ecosystem around that like Amazon and Google has, because they, like you said, they're very tight knit, and whenever they make a move for keeps.
Yeah. But it's interesting you say that, especially between the Epic Games versus Apple lawsuit that's going on.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, people trying to get rid of the 30% Apple tax, as they call it.
Mhm.
So I think Apple understands the value of creating the ecosystem if more and more consumers start paying for it. And right now, we don't see anyone paying for any of the voice content. I mean,
Nope.
ISP is there, but the revenues haven't been as huge as Amazon would like it to be.
I think the reason why it's not is the fact, again, it goes back to marketing, right? So if you can bring more people into the fold, you're going to have more of a pot and more of a chance to get people to purchase your products, whether they're in skill or or whether they're just at a regular marketplace. It doesn't matter. So if you can bring more people in, that's more chances to sell. If those numbers go down, which they which they kind of are low at this point, then you're going to have low returns. I mean, I remember seeing some sort of article, and I can't read it off, but you're right. It was like 1/4 of what they actually projected ISP would sell. And also, I think the skill store itself has a little bit of a problem too, because you'll notice that the skills that do good with ISP are those skills that are touted, those skills that are put up on that plateau of by Amazon. Not to say that's a good thing or a bad thing. They've got their reasons, but um, who knows? There may be a hidden gem down there somewhere that is a better skill than the one that's sitting up here, and we're never going to know that.
Yeah.
And that's a problem too.
And I'm very glad that you're bringing up this point because it becomes like a marketing point for me from a StoryCube perspective, because we have all these recommendation engines which are going to make sure that based on your personality and the skills that you like, we are going to bring you more skills that are similar. And
Yep.
and having that decentralized control, decentralized recommendation engine, which is personal to every user, is very important rather than just splashing Disney across all users, right? So
Yeah, like Disney doesn't need more money. I
uh,
need some money.
yeah, but regarding the monetization part, I saw a startup uh, out of UK, labworks.io. They have this thing called Voice Arcade, and Tom Hewitson is the guy who's running it, and he has some interesting ideas around discoverability and how to create a monetization channel for skill developers. So what
Mhm.
he's doing is he's charging 99 cents per subscription, and you get access to all the Alexa skills that their studio produces. So
Nice.
they produce some really amazing games, right? So 8 or 9 games which have huge traffic from the Alexa skill store and the entire
Mhm.
ecosystem. So he created the account linking part, and you have to do a subscription, monthly subscription, to keep playing these game or to keep accessing these games. So I think the industry is moving towards that direction, but absolutely, like what you said, you need more gems to get discovered so that even the single user or a random person can go to the skill store and say, hey, this is of absolutely great quality, and I would want to consume more of this content, or I would want to play a little more of this game. And that's when people would start trying to play more, consume more, and then maybe we would see a multiplayer ecosystem forming, world championships on Alexa games. Anything can happen, right? And that's when I
Mhm.
think the money is going to roll in, and that's when consumers would start paying.
And I honestly think that you guys have the right idea over there at StoryCube, because being able to come up with customer recommendations, being able to curate certain lists based off of certain interests, that's only going to put people in the right area to find those gems. And for me, I'm not going to like a cooking skill. Like, I, I sit in front of my Echo and I see like Food Network 1 year subscription free, and I'm like I don't cook. I eat the food. I don't cook it. And so for me, it was almost like uh, I don't want to do that. Even if it was free for a year, I don't want to do it, because I know what happens at the end of the year. It's an auto update, and they're going to just take my bank account for $10 a month or $10 a year, or how much ever it is. So for you to say, I like sci-fi, I like choose your own adventure, and then all of a sudden you get this curated list, that is where the money's going to be at, because now I'm going to be more inclined to look at the ISP that's associated with those skills and then purchase that. And I'll tell you something else too. The thing that I like is the visual connection. I love the connection where I could see what I'm going to buy first, see what I'm getting into. And that's part of the reason why I do these reviews, because I feel strongly that if a person can see how the skill operates, they'll be more inclined to use it. So with you guys putting those trailers up there, or even putting our videos up there, it's just going to increase the visibility of those skills.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where it's at. Because and I've said this a million times, but whenever you take a look at your cell phone, you got 100 apps on there. You maybe use 20 of them. Whenever you take a look at your voice assistant, you don't really know what you have on there. But
Exactly.
you know probably about 4 good skills that you use all the time,
Yep.
right? So that the number of retention is reduced. So on your mobile phone, it's set at maybe 20 out of the 100. Well, out of the 400 skills you have enabled, you maybe remember 5 of them. So, you know, I think what you guys are doing are great.
Yeah. And one point which I think is going to be great from a skill developer's perspective is we are trying to create this entire social angle, right? And it's not like a social network, but um, it's like, let's say you go to DoorDash. When you click on the restaurant name, you get to see the restaurant menu. So I think every skill developers deserve like some page of theirs on StoryCube where, okay, you click on ear reality, you get to see all their portfolio, and you can drop a follow button over there so that whenever they release a new voice skill or new game, you get a notification saying, hey,
Beautiful.
you got it. And it opens up a whole new dimension of business models where ear reality or voice arcade or any other skill developer out there can promote all of their voice portfolio in a single page and get
Yep.
their entire traffic there. And the same thing will be done by adjacent brands. So if there's ear reality, you have similar traffic coming through labworks, you have similar traffic coming through BBC, or you have similar traffic coming through StoryCube originals. And then what happens is when they press back, the user presses back or scrolls to the bottom of the screen, they see more skills like this. And that adjacent traffic, right? That adjacent traffic that flows in and out different pages and different portfolio profiles would increase, let's say, your skill to get visibility from a skill that's similar to yours. And I
Yep.
think that's going to be of one of the most major values that StoryCube can provide for different Alexa developers, because I wanted that. Like I created a music game. I wanted users who discovered other music games to discover my skill, but it doesn't happen on Alexa Skill Store.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, when is StoryCube going to be out?
So we are trying to do a lot of engineering work. As you know, the Alexa app is completely slow. So initially what we did was we did an enable button that takes you to your Alexa store page, and you have to press an enable button over there to play the skill or game. But now since the Alexa app is very slow and it takes a lot of time, it's troubling our performance as well. So we are going through the web route. We're going through the amazon.com or .in, and trying to automate the entire enabling process in a much more quicker way, so that you just enable in 2 seconds, it's going to be done. You don't need to do anything else. And you can just say open StoryCube originals or open Alpha game, and then it'll just start, right? So we are in the process. Probably, I'm hoping that by March 15th we would be out there live. I'm curating like 50 top gems, as I call it, in this list. So anybody who's watching this, you can ping me if you want your skill to be on the list. And yeah, we will launch in March 15th, and we've already launched a few original games of ours, and they've been getting a really good amount of traffic. um, I'm hoping that that increases once we launch the app and we get a certain critical mass of users.
You know, one of my I reviewed the alcapa alpaca alpaca. I God, I have a hard time saying that. You know, I honestly that was my only critique. I was like, I can't say the name. Like I'm afraid that I may be the except or the rule and not the exception. And I hope that that doesn't hinder that skill's ability to perform well, because what I liked about that skill is it's good for little kids.
Yeah.
It's something entertaining. It's something to help them out. It's something to get them talking, get their mouth moving. It'll spar development, and that's what I liked about that skill. The other thing was too that I thought would be really cool is if you took like the alpaca and you just had like even an APL style video where they're just like moving their lips. I think that would work too. That'd be kind of cool because then you'd be kind of you know
Absolutely. So
bringing
that's
the
like,
mascot.
do you remember Real Player back in 2002, 2004?
Yes,
You
yes.
had that sheep, a visualizer, a sheep, she gets glasses, and then there's an alien coming randomly depending on the song, and then she has like disco lights going on. So alpaca is like a inspiration from that. I thought, a lot of users who are using Alexa are little kids, and
Hmm.
they're in the process of speech development, right? And with with Alexa, they don't have any hindrance. They don't have any hesitation. They can say whatever they want. And I think what my idea is to build an creative IP around alpaca. This alpaca. I know it's a mouthful, definitely, but the whole point of the game is that it's a tongue twister game, right? So
Yep.
we want to create that brand, and then we are creating more games. And yeah, absolutely, APL is on our list. We want to create more visuals, and we want to make it more interactive. In the so the whole idea is that eventually we'll be at a point where there'll be 10 skills around alpaca, probably a story around it. And it's purely entertainment, but there is a byproduct of playing this game. That is, your child or your kid is going to learn some new words, how to pronounce those words, and we are going to get real-time data of whether they're pronouncing a certain word correct or not, whether which kind of syllables are they struggling to pronounce, and so that you as a parent can take notice of that and try to improve on that. So there's like that whole vision out there which I have to implement. But the skill is doing pretty well. I mean, in 5 countries, it's spread across equally 200 user enablements in Australia, in Canada, in UK, in US, and in India, right? So people
Mhm.
are playing the skill, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought people would think, oh, this is such a non-functional skill. It doesn't have any right answer or wrong answer. It just keeps going. But then every day we have like so many utterances going on, and people are just playing it for fun. So clearly there's demand, and there is some sort of requirement for users to play such creative games or some attractive games, something that's going to be different than the weather or music or the news or just another quiz or trivia, right? So yeah.
Well, that was what was so great about Journey 3000, and also Iron Falcon. Whenever I found them, um, Journey 3000 tracked your progress, so it told you how many other endings there were, how many you had got, and then the percentage of the entire story in which you explored. So you could go through certain different ways, but you'd miss another choice. So that wouldn't be 100% because you didn't go left whenever you should have went right or something to that effect. And yeah, I just think that it's little things like that that bring people back.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a huge challenge even for a story writer or a conversation AI designer, right? To
Hmm.
create such kind of an experience where it takes a lot of effort to design that entire maze and make sure that your characters are in place, and the user doesn't get lost in a loop or doesn't feel that, oh, I shouldn't have come through this route, or or an alternative route being too short, which was the case with Bandersnatch by Black Mirror, right? So it was a good
Oh yeah.
experiment, but it is not as solid as Journey 3000. And I think more content like Journey 3000 and Iron Falcon and even Detective X are going to rule this industry of voice games and voice interactive stories, because these are not completely games, and these are not completely stories. They fall between, right? I mean, you're curious to know more, uh, to explore more of the story, to explore more of the world. At the same time, for you to explore that, you need to kind of engage, solve puzzles, take decisions, and stick to the story. So I think that's pretty fascinating, and I'm looking forward to uh, seeing more creators develop such content. And we ourselves are excited to release our original content which is similar to this. So we have like a 5 episode series. It's called Agent 67, where the user has to save the planet from an alien attack. So he has to travel the entire world. He has to go to Egypt, he has to go to the Antarctica, take a spaceship and travel across space to go to the far side of the moon, where actually the alien space station is. And they're trying to occupy Earth, right? So he has to go there and defeat them. And in this entire process, we want to kind of give certain tidbits like, you get to know that Nile River is in Egypt. You get to know that the pyramids are in Egypt. You get to know that penguins live on Antarctica, and you get to know some space information, some information about different cities or rainforests like Amazon. So I think storytelling is like a very fascinating way to teach kids something
Yep.
subconsciously. Like, I mean, I grew up watching Popeye, and I wanted to have spinach all the while when I was a kid. I thought I'll just have spinach and get some biceps and triceps. But yeah, until I had my first bite of it,
Taste of
I didn't
spinach.
understand.
You're like,
Yeah.
uh, no, that's great. I totally agree. I think voice is an excellent platform to osmotively educate somebody, through that. They're learning and they don't even realize they're learning. Um, yeah, that sounds like a great skill. In fact, if you have a list of some of the curated skills that you have on story cube, send them over, because I'll start taking a look at them and going through them, because one of the things that we're going to do at Voice Spark Live, in fact we did it this year, it was our first year. They're called the Sparkies, and what they are is they are it's an award show for the top indie developer skills. So we want to shed a light on the smaller guys, right? The smaller guys and girls in the voice community. And the whole purpose of the Sparkies is to let people know that there's other stuff out there. And we could create a web page and put your name on it and say, hey, you're number one. But we've actually got trophies. We have actual crystallized trophies that were made with
Wow.
the name engraved in on them and stuff like that. And the guys are going to kill me for me talking about this, but we're bringing them to Project Voice, and we're going to display them there at Project Voice, and that's going to be them. And the second they leave Project Voice, they're getting shipped out USPS. One's going to Canada, one's going to LA, and the other one's going to Seattle. And as long as people start using the website, submitting the forms, doing the things, I know you're probably like, oh god, he wants me to fill out a form, but again, that just helps us keep track, and it lets us know where we're at.
And is there a way that we can drop a link of that form in the comment section, or the
Yeah,
description, so that people can find it easily?
yeah, I've got all that stuff. I kind of prepared a little bit, so I've got all that stuff ready to go for you. I've got links and a link to our website, and we'll be doing a lot of good things.
Awesome, awesome. And I know we have agreed on an hour, but I'm just going to have one last question to you.
Yeah,
It's not completely in the voice space, but you know, we see a lot of things happening around the world, which are close to human computer interaction.
yeah,
Yeah, voice, in my opinion, is the gateway to HCI, because there's so much adoption and the technology is so mature. But on the other hand, you're looking at Oculus developing amazing stuff, right? Microsoft HoloLens doing some great stuff. In India, we have something called GeoGlass, which is coming up with its own headset at a very, very low price. But when you take all of these interactive devices into account, let it be Alexa or Google Home or Oculus, all of them have the same problem, which is only if they have enough exclusive content designed for the device will
Yep.
the consumers buy it. Otherwise, what would they do buying these devices, right? So in your opinion, where do you see this industry going? Do you see like a fusion between the VR headset and voice, and which completes the immersive part of, let's say, a user experience? Do you see that Facebook is coming up with its own voice assistant, right? Do you think that in a VR experience there's going to be voice interactions that is going to drive the experience or the story forward? Do you see that storytelling will move in that direction? What is your opinion?
Well, my first thing I'd like to say is I will not buy a Facebook voice assistant. That will not happen. I just put that right off the list. Even if it's given to me, I'm not taking it. Two, uh, I think I would love to see the augmentation, right? I would love to see me playing a game on a headset and taking it off and on my way to work, driving down the road, accessing the skill or the Google action, and then saying, hey, check my inventory level. Oh, okay. Well, you've got 75 gold pieces. Okay, I want to go to the store. Okay, cool. What would you like to spend it on? And boom, 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 boom. And then have those choices, that stuff. I don't want any, I'm a very efficient person and I don't want any wasted time. So for me, if I can drive to work and replenish my inventory, and then on my way back from work, um, whatever, communicate with some friends and get ready to go, and then I can put the headset back on like I never missed a beat. That is where the money's at. And if I were big video game developers like EA, Blizzard, stuff like that, I would start looking at how they could leverage that voice assistant technology in order to augment what they're already doing.
Got it. That's Yeah, that's a very, very interesting use case, and it just gave me a lot of ideas, right? uh,
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Hey, that's what I do. I'll tell you what. That's what me, Ben, and AJ do. I swear we're like we're like the fairy godfathers of good ideas. We'll just drop them all over the place.
Yeah, that's great of you guys. uh, but again, my question, like a follow-up question to this is, let's say I'm a VR story developer and then I'm creating this huge immersive experience. And obviously, when it becomes immersive, you have decisions and choices to make, and the story goes in different directions, which is
Mhm.
exactly the same what a voice story also consists of. And
Yes.
with all of these guys who have developed really good voice skills, now they automatically become the most qualified people to design a story for an immersive experience like this. Yeah,
Yes.
there will be visuals and there'll be a lot more direction over there, but the plot line, the story, the conversation design, the writing would be similar. So do you think that this industry would definitely, not just from a functional point of view, but from the experiential point of view, also get connected with VR? Like, let's say I'm going on a boat in a VR experience, and then there's suddenly a torpedo that hits my boat, and then what do I pick first? Uh, do I get the life jacket on, or do I catch a hold of my girlfriend? What is the decision that I'm going to make, right?
Hmm.
So, and then I have to say that decision out loud, right? I have to pick this or pick that. So do you think I know I'm talking about a lot of years in the future, but I just wanted to know your opinion, because you've seen voice develop and evolve over these years, and I'm pretty sure you're in touch with the other technologies as well. So I wanted to know your opinion on this.
Well, like kind of going back to that, I think for now it's going to stay kind of like a separate thing.
Okay.
But I think what you're going to end up seeing in the industry is you're going to see a lot more people become VUX writers, conversational designers. It's going to be mirrored behind these certain titles. and you're going to have these larger video game companies hire these individuals, and a lot of the stuff is going to be able to intertwine,
Got it.
you know. So that's where I see it going. I see there being a huge influx in employment as far as VUX, conversational design. It's going to be big because I think people want to feel connected, even if they're a million years apart or a million miles apart. They're
Yeah.
going to want to feel connected, and that's the next level of games.
Yeah. And yeah, yeah, I think that makes sense. And we are still at the tip of the iceberg because we just
Oh
talked
yeah.
about English skills over here, right? There are so many languages in the world, so many people
Mm.
trying to get the same experience as English speakers, to try a voice game or a voice story in their own language. We did some interesting experiment. There is a language called Kannada in South India. It's
Oh,
not like one of the top languages in India, but it's probably third or fourth over there in the list. And we created something called Kannada short stories, and the entire skill is in Kannada. And your input, we have converted the Kannada input into English to check whether the user is giving the right answer or not. And you won't believe me, this skill has got 15,000 user sessions in the last 1 year.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we didn't do much of marketing. We didn't do anything. We just left it out there in the skill store. So there are people out there who are speaking other languages than English, who own a voice device already and would love to consume content in their mother tongue. And then we know how huge and rich Japanese is with respect to stories, anime, and manga culture. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, I could see a lot coming out of the Japanese market. I think that's going to be probably where the next gold mine is, per se, because the Japanese people are on the forefront of technology anyhow. I mean, it's in their culture, it's who they are. And whenever you start developing for that, and because I remember like a year or two ago, there was only like 900 Japanese skills. It's very, very low number, but I could see that'll go up by thousands, 1,000%.
I mean, I'm 26-year old and I still watch anime. There's this wonderful anime called One Piece. I don't know if you know about it. Uh,
No, no.
yeah. So yeah, their content is absolutely amazing, and the creators are exemplary, right? So yeah, I think this brings us to the end of the episode, but it was really, really insightful talking to you, Nick. And thanks for coming on the show. And I wanted to just leave you. Do you want to leave our audience with any parting thoughts, any final statement that you'd like to say, any opinions that you think we can touch upon, which we haven't already?
Yeah. So whenever you're building a custom voice assistant application, just keep these five things in mind because that's usually what we look at anyhow, which is your sound and FX, your graphics and multimodal, the replayability, like would the user want to come back and try this again? We call it replayability, but it's really retention. Conversational design. Does the story make sense? And theme. And that's it. And if you look at those five principles, you'll definitely score well on our system of reviews. Now, like I said, reviews are free. There's no fee or anything for it. Um, we just want to make sure that people can get in contact with good voice applications in order to spend their time wisely.
Awesome, awesome. And if any of the developers who are hearing this now just happen to nail those 5 points very well, you might win an engraved trophy, a Sparky.
That's right. The 2021 Sparkies, they're only 9 months away.
Awesome, and I hope Voice Spark Live in the next 9 months would go to 10,000 subscribers from their
Oh God,
1,000 right now.
I would. Let me tell you something. I would love that, and I think it would be great because at least it would show that people are using the devices now, and that
Absolutely.
it's going to help people out like you. It'll help people out like Clint. Um, and that's essentially what I want to do.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick, to for accepting this and joining this podcast. It was lovely talking to you, like always. And I hope that we can touch base again. Create more talk about when the industry evolves a little bit more in a couple of months. And yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with you offline and just jamming like this again sometime
Of
very soon.
course. No problem, Vishnu. Thank you.
Okay.